Hello and good day, or evening, or morning to all you smart, edgy fuckers out there. After a bit of intensive deliberation with my own depressed self, I've come to the conclusion that a non-specific or side-choosing political video should serve well as my first go at this decrepit, spammy, and yet gorgeous platform of ours. So what's less controversial than a combination of gaming and political discussion? As of 2018, it has become rather obvious that a loud minority of gamers have entrenched their social views with the lazy man's intellectual sphere of so-called online skeptics. Gaming, the industry and art form which we have all grown to love, has apparently been attacked by devious, man-hating feminists, purple-haired SJWs, and identity politics kooks. Our attention is almost exclusively directed at those who wish to question our very own perception of games, story arcs, characters, and God forbid, inclusion. We rage on about some sort of boogeyman out there bent on making our characters into tools of ideological warfare, our storylines politically correct, and our experiences bleached out and unrelatable. These positions, even though sometimes defendable, almost fucking never, are inherently reactionary. How reactionary? Well, in the traditional sense, you still don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, here we go. By reactionarily, I mean that these people, including me for a regrettable time, notice that the current trajectory of their beloved pastime is not headed in the right direction, but instead of choosing to analyze and understand the more complex underlying issues plaguing gaming, we tend to choose the easy option, the simple patsies to point fingers at and blame. This isn't something that necessarily makes you a bad person. Not at all, actually. It's rather natural. The amount of dopamine influx, which is basically the happy hormone, we get sent to our brains when we make oversimplifications, might not be the same as the amount we get from meaningful realizations, but it's an easier, faster, and less time-costly fix we get to inject into the veins of our social perception. It might be difficult for a moment, on the topic of gaming, or pretty much anything else, to realize that what you've been obsessing over isn't even remotely as concerning, worrying, or dangerous as you thought. Let me repeat that. What you've been obsessing over isn't even remotely as concerning, worrying, or dangerous as you thought. And that instead the problem is much bigger than you or me, that it's systematic. Something I seem to be good at spotting in business and politics, but not in my own relationships. That's for sure. Okay, this is where we come to the real purpose of this video, my tavarish. The parallel connection between the capitalist framework and the greedy, decrepit, simplistic, and overtly underwhelming state gaming is continuously pushed into. To put things into perspective, I will list out only some of the cancerous practices which take a golden piss shower all over our favorite pastime. Let's start out gently. Like the ridiculous quotas given to developers, leading them to work 80+ hour work weeks, the deadlines which give us half-finished games, the insatiable thirst for money even after point of sale that spams us with purchasable in-game currency, the sequels and sequels and sequels and sequels that recycle all the same govno, which is shit by the way, the free-to-play and pay-to-win titles, the horrible barely running ports, and the elitist platform exclusives, the commercialization of cult classics, and betrayal of decade-long fans for the sake of market expansion. Whew, Isuse. I went on a bit of a rant there, didn't I? Maybe I shouldn't start recording these videos after my 6th big vodka, I swear to God. But then again, I don't think I could stomach through all this bullshit without being at least semi-drunk. So, moving on, I will attempt to dismantle all these issues as direct consequences of an unregulated market economy and capitalist, ethical, and business principles. I will leave left-leaning or hard-left solutions for these issues for a later video, as the purpose of this mini rantathon is the clearing up of confusion, not a resolution of the said problems. Or put even more simply, teaching some of you beautiful fuckers who the actual enemy is. Let's start with game quality deterioration as direct consequence of radical profit margins. So what's a profit margin? How much literal money you shove into your big ass account when you're done with selling a product. And how do we make these profit margins radical? Well, through greed and by sacrificing demands of fans and product quality to generate extra millions. All mediums, be it music, television, film, or gaming, require extraordinary amounts of time to develop and release. One could draw a link between the amount of time invested in a game and its quality. Of course, the team that actually works on a project is of the highest importance. Nobody denies this. But the team means little, if anything, when there's not enough time to capitalize on the productivity of the said group of people. Rockstar, for example, has one of the most talented international devs working for it, but it also has the most expansive and flexible time between releases for their new titles. If Rockstar acted the way Activision did, we'd have GTA 14 by now, and we'd see Grand Theft Auto going the way Call of Duty games did. A bunch of characters and environmental reskins thrown into a lazily written, rehashed storyline and bland repetitive multiplayer. Where am I going with this? Well, it's simple. In capitalism, profitability is the highest ascribed value for any product or service. If a game is released and pushed a decently high profit margin, then everyone profiting the most from it, the stock owners and the CEOs, will push for its rapid resale. Games aren't simple resellable goods though. In order to sell another game of a certain title to the same person, you have to make a whole new game. It's not like buying potato chips. You can get the same pack of chips every day if you want to. There's no need to make 365 types of chips for every single day. But with games, you need to develop a whole product with standalone characteristics big enough to motivate a purchase. This is where we get to the main issue. If you want to sell as many copies to as many people, you have to concentrate on volume, meaning quantity over quality. In order to release a title every single year, you must cut corners. Give your developers far less time to make the game. Cut corners on your gameplay and graphics engine. Use mission layouts, designs, and characters from previous games. Fill the game with repetitive, go there, pick that up, come back quests and missions. All in an attempt to reach a certain number of play hours, both online and off. Don't get me wrong, I'm all up for sequels, brate, but they should come at their own pace, as products of development passion and meticulous work. Not as half-baked potatoes ready to be passed off as fries. Oh, Jesus, what's with the potato metaphors? I'm Slavic, not Irish. Sorry, back to the point. It's very simple logic. Why make a product perfectly when you want it to be replaced next year by another one? Quality and quantity almost never come together to their fullest extent, especially in capitalism, where selling well means selling more. Next on, we happen to have to talk about in-game currency, my absolute favorite. As you probably know, game makers design hundreds of skins, aesthetics, and power upgrades to be purchased by their clients in-game. Not only has the customer already paid for the game, but now he is continuously group-shamed into giving into in-game purchases. The content is already there when the game is out in most cases, yet it somehow makes sense that we should repeat pay even more for the content that's already available. Don't even get me started on DLC made by the time a game comes out. Yay. In-game currency used to be exclusively linked to free-to-play games 6 years ago. But hell, greed doesn't seem to be slowing down, even though the gaming market has been rapidly expanding, and even continues to expand, raking in ever-growing profit sums for the industry. Even though pay-to-play games have been making more and more money, than ever, the trend of finding more ways to extract more and more fucking cash out of our pockets doesn't seem to be slowing down. This is a direct consequence of the ludicrously demanding top branches of the business hierarchies. When quality has reached a good enough level, emphasis moves from bettering the game into making more money from it. So instead of designing a better multiplayer experience, for example, they simply rely on the game's already established fan base and continue pitching the players against one another in an eternal loop of competition over who is the biggest fan or who has more game swag. These guys have literally taken advertising tactics continuously used in the fashion and celebrity merch industry and switched it over on us. Game innovation and quality always takes a second-class seat to any potential of extracting more bloody fucking money. This is an unignorable threat to gaming, as it can evolve into a far more radical version of what it is today. It's wonderful to see the unifying power of the gaming industry and its recent mass riot against EA's Battlefront 2, but this victory might be short-lived. What if all the big producers of the industry one day co-opted and mutually agreed to make all their games borderline pay to win? Yeah, I know, it sounds like a conspiracy theory mumbo jumbo, but please ask a 2007 console gamer what they'd think of a monthly tax on multiplayer for their platforms that we pay for now. In a capitalist market, the only people who have a voice over the product are stock owners, CEOs, and of course the board. The consumers and employers, meaning the gamers and game developers, have as much power as the top brass allows for. Don't be simple-minded, my friends. Stop defending big capital as if it meant that you're defending your own wealth. It's actually oxymoronical. Let's move on. In capitalism, a small number of people own the means of production. In this case, stock owners represented by the board are in charge of the said companies. Everything would be fine if these boards were represented by people which actually care about the industry and its fans, something that is very much so achievable in a non-capital based society. But as with almost all CEOs in high management, you have people in it for what, my children? Oh, come on, you should have gotten it by now. Sing it with me. Profit generation. In capitalism, the value of any product or service is not inherently its quality, but its profitability. A game can be as beautifully and painstakingly made as it wants to be, but if it doesn't sell extraordinarily, it's of no interest. This is just one of the many reasons we see some cult classics receiving no sequels. They simply don't sell. It would be unfair to deny the fact that many games do receive their light under the sun, both as established fan favorites and as box office hits. But don't you believe there is constant and abundant pressure, top-down, on these game developers to come out with a modernized version of the said cult classics? One that might satisfy a different age or skill group, potentially leading to the complete crumbling of the game's original value. Don't tell me you can't name at least 5 games which got watered down in order to receive an ESRB symbol. Sometimes it's just better to let them die. Why not finish up with our hardware as well? You think technology hasn't advanced enough to allow us to have an upgradable PlayStation or Xbox? Please don't make me laugh out my babushka's rakia sonchik. How the hell are they gonna sell us next gen if we can upgrade last gen to a higher level ourselves? I mean, this takes a complete piss on the argument that profit always motivates us to make the best possible product. It's a simple cut case showing the opposite, intentional slowdown of technological advancement for the purpose of making more of the money they already have plenty of. What about backwards compatibility, for example? You know, playing a PS2 title on your PS4. You think they couldn't make it work that way? Somehow, we have come to the point in our perception of product value that we see no issue in buying a 10-year-old title with no graphics or gameplay refurbishing for more money than it cost 10 years ago. Oh my god. Jesus Christ, people. What the hell do they put in the water to make us this bewilderingly dumb? So, in conclusion, everything that has been listed above only represents a hilariously small proportion of capitalism's influence on the gaming industry. Please start turning up the lights in your pretty little heads, my friends, and stop thinking that some person with a slightly different opinion than yours on the state of video games in a bloody YouTube video is ruining your favorite medium. The degradation of any art form has always and will always come from its radical commercialization. Thank you, you beautiful fuckers, and have a great day.